All right. The USMNT 0, Panama 1. In a game that we talked about as a potential trap game where you overlook Panama and you start looking ahead, I feel like that is exactly what this team did. They showed up entitled. They showed up without any real plan. There was a serious lack of movement. The tactics were poor. The players were poor on the day. This is the second time in a year that we have lost to Panama at home, and it is completely unacceptable yet again. Yes, there were some injuries. Sure. Panama also had some injuries. Barcenas wasn't there, for example. It doesn't matter. We are supposed to be beating Panama at home with the players that we have. And the mismanagement of that game by Poch and the players themselves who showed up and did almost nothing for 90 plus minutes and then gave up a stupid goal at the end. I can't believe it, Tac. I can't believe we're still doing this, that we're still doing this 1 year before a World Cup. We can't beat Panama at home. It is a complete disgrace. I don't know why on Gio Reyna. Maybe, he was poor in training. But at this point, you had to try because these guys were poor on the field.
Panama knocked us out of the 3 previous tournaments we played against them. The previous, they knocked us out here. They knocked us out in the Copa America. They knocked us out of the Gold Cup.
This is going to be an easy target. The players just aren't as good as you think they are. Are they good enough to beat Panama? Are they good enough to beat Panama? Yes, they are good enough to beat Panama. That doesn't mean you have the right to beat Panama. You still have to show up and play like it's a final. And they didn't do that. So, yeah, it's not about them not being good enough. We've thrashed Panama before many times. That's not the issue, is that we're not good enough to beat Panama. That's an easy out, in my opinion, right? But that's not the situation. Steven Spada. That was an embarrassment. Credit to Panama, but she should have been able to defend the entire 90 plus 5. Yeah, I knew this could happen at the end of the game. You're so focused on attacking that you lose your shape. You don't do the defensive things right. It was a bit of a scramble. It fell to a player, and he got a good shot in the far post. That's what happens. That's what happens, and we deserved it. Trust the process with Poch. It's tough, man, because Poch still has to earn our trust. And this is a huge wake-up call for Poch. It better be a huge wake-up call.
Let's talk about that for a second here, because how do we trust the process where we did trust. He made a lot of questionable decisions with the roster replacements. Those were the first thing. Even the roster, having Brian White and Aguiman. You guys saw Aguiman waste 2 chances. That was the guy that was going to solve the game. But anyhow, he's not the only one to blame. We saw him make many, many, many questionable choices. And then today, in the game, we're playing like complete shit in the first half. No changes in the second half. Time goes on. The changes are ineffective. McGlynn for Tessman, Aguiman for Sargent. What did any of that do? And then eventually, ultimately, it led to the loss. And I even said this, it's not like Panama deserved to win. They didn't dominate us, but we definitely didn't deserve to win. We definitely didn't. So
we didn't create enough.
We can trust, and I mean, Pochettino will stay till the World Cup. I don't think he's going to get fired, and honestly, probably shouldn't. Who are we going to get? And ultimately, he'll get judged upon what happens in the World Cup. But I don't think he should be. We should sugarcoat what happened today with the players, with him. It's all of them, because we always talked about this with Berhalter, about how the team looked like they matched Berhalter's vibe of Berhalter just being soft, and you know how it was. They kind of matched Pochettino's vibe today. I don't know if this guy cares.
Yeah.
He
doesn't care enough to recruit. He's calling up bum MLS players that shouldn't be there. He's not playing Giovanni Reyna for whatever that's worth. Just also not bringing Haji Wright. There should have been better communication there. At least have him on the provisional roster in case he was ready to go. And then when these guys got out, we should have brought Aronson. We should have brought Zendejas. We should have brought guys that at least a little bit of quality, Paxton Aronson, guys like that. But instead, we brought in McGlynn and Guti and Luna. Guti and Luna didn't even play. But when you looked at that bench, who was going to play, right? When you looked at that bench, who was going to be the guy that was going to come and save us? Not Aguiman,
Also, if you're going to replace Tessman, the 2 options he should have gone for would have been Diego Luna or Gio Reyna. McGlynn was fine. McGlynn actually wasn't bad when he was on the field, but that was 6 for half a dozen. He was just moving
He's
the
not
ball
going to
around.
change the game.
You didn't need that. You needed someone to actually pick a pass. And sure, if you don't want Gio to go, put Diego Luna instead and see what happens. I just don't get it. I don't fucking get it.
Can we please question Mauricio Pochettino now? Horrible selection. Yes, absolutely. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's early on, right? And by the way, we talked about this with the January camp, that it sometimes creates the wrong. I think Poch underestimated CONCACAF. I do. I think he thought, oh, we're better than Panama. We'll beat them. And I don't think he took this game seriously enough. I really don't. You can tell by his roster selection. You can tell by the players he brought in. And you can tell by the substitutions that he made, right? I said this. I think he saw January camp and Jamaica and thought, oh, CONCACAF is a cakewalk. It's not. Not when you go into these, semifinal games where everything's on the line. It's really not. MAGA bum Pulisic blew it. I don't care about that. He didn't play well, but I don't care. Any love I had for this team is gone. A bunch of miserable, overrated losers. They're making it very hard to support them right now, for sure. It's like, guys, we had so much hope in you. So much hope in you guys, and you're just letting us down over and over again. Pete, Tac, I love you guys. This is the lowest I've felt about the team since 2018. What now? Just have to wait for the World Cup and hope and pray, man. That's all we have.
I think we literally have to hope that out of nowhere, this team catches fire during the World Cup. Because I think, like, right now, if you ask me, I'm just going to say, we're going to suck all the way there. We're just going to suck.
We have to win Gold Cup now. We have to win whoever the third place on Sunday. And
how are we going to win Gold Cup? We can't beat Panama.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But, this was just a huge disaster.
Let's hope we don't get a tough group in the Gold Cup so we don't get grouped.
We won't. Ever stop, once again with this excuse, ever stop to think that y'all don't have the great players y'all claim y'all do? Brand, do we have players that are good enough to beat Panama?
That's all we're complaining about. That's
all we're not complaining. It's like, God, yes, we should be beating Panama. I'm sorry. We're not saying these guys are
Argentina, dude. We didn't lose to Argentina. We're talking about Panama here. Not Argentina, Panama.
Apparently, our talented players are a conundrum wrapped in an enigma, unsolvable puzzle of low effort garbage. I saw a comment earlier. Someone said, I'm so depressed I'm playing my saxophone. Poch needs to sit down with the master, BJ. I don't know, man. Poch needs to get his head out of his own ass and start coaching, because this was a joke. I had hope after that Jamaica doubleheader. This was a joke, a complete joke. Julian Vivas, I'm sorry, but this is worse than when Triple G was in charge. Poch needs to be fired. At least Triple G won 3 titles. Sure, but Triple G also lost to Panama. You can't tell me Triple G is the solution, guys. Don't let this result change anything about Triple G.
Also, last year, the only difference between Berhalter and Pochettino last year in the Nations League was that Berhalter got a lucky own goal in the last minute from Jamaica. Otherwise, it would have been the same result. Same result. No.
Thank you, Emrek, for the super chat. Panama fought hard for their country's honor tonight. Yes, they did. Congratulations to them. They played well, even though they didn't create a ton. They played well enough to deny us, and they took their chance when it came. And we didn't do that. We actually created more chances than Panama. We didn't finish them, number one, and we also didn't create enough to make it safe, right? You got to create 7-8 chances sometimes. Especially if Aguimang and Sargent are your guys trying to finish them.
Well, if it's Sargent and Aguimang, you might need like 20 chances each.
Yeah. How do you think they will spin this? Who do you mean by they? Like the media or U.S. Soccer? I want to hear what Poch has to say in his post-game presser, because he needs to take responsibility for this. Lit into the players and also take responsibility for himself. I do not understand how you need a goal and your big solution is Aguimang and McGlynn. I don't understand that. We should have had Brendan Aronson on the bench. We should have had Paxton. We should have had Zendejas, and Gio should have come on. I'm sorry. This is insane to me.
Or even Luna. If you want an MLS player, throw Luna.
Sure. At least Luna's an attacking, creative player. The most overrated generation of all time. No change whatsoever. My goodness, that was bad. So hard to be a fan of the USMNT. I feel you, Omar. Trust me, it's even worse for us This is our lives. We spend so much time and energy and effort covering this team, even when we don't feel like it. And even when shit is bad. And then we have to deal with this. And then people lose interest, understandably. And then, our views drop. It sucks. What do we do? Trust me, I'm in the same boat with you. I hate it.
Well, for you guys got to remember too, like for us in terms of like YouTube coverage, now we have a losers game on Sunday. Sure, we'll cover it, but let's be real. Pete, how much do you care?
I mean, if it's Mexico, I care a little bit because I just want to beat Mexico. But it's like the two losers playing it out for the losers trophy. But getting a win and then getting Gold Cup would be the first step towards trying to put something right. Really. USA versus Mexico, third place final match. Yeah, that Canada-Mexico game is going to be interesting. We'll see who wins that. I personally have my money on Canada. I think Canada could win the whole Nations League right now.
If they make it to the final against Panama, Canada ain't losing to Panama.
No. Golden generation? Nope. Haven't earned it yet. For some reason, I'm not upset. Oh, good for you, Sergio. However, the players.
Wait. You got to find out the reason, man.
I want to know why you're not upset. Are you just sad?
Now I need to know the reason.
You could be just detached, right? Sometimes when you get hurt so many times, you just detach yourself completely from the outcome. It's a mental way of protecting yourself. You just stop feeling, right? For some reason, I'm not upset. However, the players are arrogant and lazy. Yes. Eliminated from Gold Cup 2023. Different group of players, but yes. Copa America 2024. Yes. Nations League 2025. Even Greg won. Greg got lucky in the last Nations League, guys. Let's not try to spin this somehow. Greg got very lucky. But yes, I agree with everything you say, Sergio. Poch doesn't know Reyna and does not rate him. Was goal on pulley back pass to McGlynn? Couldn't tell. I don't remember. It was more of a mix-up in the box. We didn't properly clear our lines, and then it dropped to the right guy, and he placed it really nicely in the far corner. Do you think Turner could have done better on that? Is my question to you.
Possibly. It wasn't from such close range. It was a nice strike, but I think a very, very good goalkeeper saves it. I think it's savable, I think it's
savable, but I don't think it's on Turner.
No,
I think a better goalkeeper saves that. And don't come to me about Patrick Schulte, please.
No, Patrick Schulte has let his hands. It probably would have gone in anyway. I don't know. Like, it was savable, but it wasn't really like something that you're like, oh, that was a terrible moment from Turner.
Yeah. Panama better win the Nations League now. I don't think they will. I'd be very surprised. I think it's going to be a Canada-Panama final, but I think Canada will win it.
Dude, it'll be so funny if Canada makes it and loses to I'll stream that. I'll stream that then.
The U.S. players seems like they wait to get their back from the last game. They don't got that dog in them. Yeah, man, they don't. So when do we start blaming the players? Now we've been blaming the players. It's the play. I mean, Poch has huge responsibility here, but none of the players showed up tonight. You could argue Adams, Ream, and Scally were fine to good, but nobody else. Yikes. Bad when Scally was trying to take people on. Yeah, when Scally is your big hope for the attack, you know you'd have a problem. But maybe Triple G wasn't the problem. Bunch of bums. Triple G wasn't the only problem, but he was a big part of the problem, guys. Let's be honest. Remember, he also created a culture, and it might take some time for this group to get out of that cultural mindset of like laziness and entitlement. I'm not blaming Berhalter for this, but let's not pretend that Berhalter was not the problem here. Of course he was the problem. Poch has not stepped up, though. He is not. Pete Tac, what did y'all seriously expect from a Hotspurs and a PSG manager? Poch is a choke artist. Now Panama owns the canal and US. Go USA Hotspurs. Look, Poch did okay with Spurs. He got them into the top four. He got them to a Champions League final. You could argue he underperformed with PSG for sure by not winning Liga. But, I mean, his record in Europe is not as bad as some people are saying. Yeah, he could have done better in moments, but he also did a lot of good stuff. The PTSD of Berhalter ball is in full effect. I don't know, man. Like, this is not on Berhalter. Berhalter's gone now. This group needs to get their fucking shit together. Whatever happened under 5 years under Berhalter doesn't matter now. What matters now is this group needs to step up and they're not doing it. This is the question that we talked a little bit about this morning. Rob, do you think someone is forcing Poch to bring in all these MLS players? I don't understand what he's thinking with this player selection. I think, Tac, you said it really well this morning. Why don't you say it again? Because there's a lot more people here.
I said no. No one's forcing him to do anything. I think most likely is he doesn't care enough about the job. And it reaches a point where he's listening to people inside that have been around for longer, whether it is a youth coach, whether it is an assistant, whether it is someone higher up in U.S. soccer, whatever, for certain selections. He's not being forced. If he does his job, scouts the players properly, and picks the right players, he'll pick the players. No one's telling him what to do. I find it very, very unlikely that anyone's telling him what to do. I think it's more likely laziness, or just not even lazy, or maybe laziness could be one of the words, but it's just like, it seems like the dude doesn't give a shit. I think that's
feels
what
like he's here for his $6 million a year.
That's the vibe I'm getting from Pochettino. He's like, hey, quick cash grab. I get $6 million a year. I have a World Cup next year. If I suck with the US, no one will really blame me. And if I do well, I'll get an incredible job in Europe.
And, but he has to be careful, because if you fail that badly with the U.S., it also tarnishes your reputation as a coach. I think he will get blamed. Okay, if he doesn't, win a World Cup, no one's going to blame him. But you can't lose the Nations League and the Gold Cup and not get blamed. You're going to get blamed. That's going to tarnish your reputation for sure.
Yeah, but probably what he was thinking is he could just go through CONCACAF on cruise control. And then in the World Cup, he knows as long as I get out of the group, no one will blame me for anything. That's probably what he was thinking. But then he just got outcoached by Thomas Christensen. He just got eliminated by a team that was worse than his team in pretty much every position, outside of maybe goalkeeper and Carrasquilla, the midfielder. I'm just going to say it once again. I just think it looks like the vibe I'm getting from Pochettino is that this dude doesn't give a shit. Right now, at least, he doesn't. Maybe he'll turn up in the World Cup. That might be a little too late. But right now, that's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah. Steven says, we need to win every game leading up to the summer in order for me to still have faith in this team. I mean, even if we do. Let's say we beat Mexico or Canada in the third place game. Fine.
And then Turkey and Switzerland.
And Switzerland. I mean, look, beat those teams and then go win the Gold Cup in style. That'll do a little bit to restoring some faith there. But I don't know, man. There are so many problems with this game. I almost don't know where to start. And usually we talk about the positives first. I can't think of any. Not the result, not the performance. A few individual players sort of get a pass, in my opinion. But otherwise, no. There's no positives to take from this game. Nobody impressed me. A couple people did their jobs. Tim Ream, Tyler Adams did their jobs. Scally did their jobs. Nobody impressed me, though. There's no positives to take away from this game. I'm warning you guys right now. So if you don't like negativity, this might not be the stream for you.
I mean, who can be positive?
Pulisic,
is anyone going to be positive? We just lost to Panama at home here. And this time there's no red card to blame also. We just lost to them at home.
Nope. Did Pulisic leave his talent in Italy? I think it was just an off day for Pulisic. To be fair to him, he doesn't have those very often. But you can't have that in a fucking semifinal, right? Kenty, I didn't read this. Maybe we can get the Panama Canal back. It feels like Panama came and flooded our soccer culture with their canal twice in 1 year. El Toison did. Oh, yeah, we read this one. We really should not rely on Musa in the future. Oh, man, Musa was a disaster today. I thought he was fine defensively, but his attacking instincts, not instincts, he's useless in the attack. He offers nothing in the final third. He can run with the ball at his feet, and that is about it. Screw this team and screw Poch. Poch was sucking ISHO speed off these past months. I'm done. See y'all in 2026. Yeah, we get messages like this, right? And it's disheartening for us because one of the goals of our channels was to continue to grow the game in this country. But we can only do so much. If this team keeps shitting the bed over and over again, we suffer too, not just emotionally because we care, but nobody wants to watch. Nobody wants to put, and I don't blame you, right? Like, I don't blame you. Nobody wants to put emotional energy into this team because it's just, you're tired of being disappointed, right? It's like that abusive partner who's just being abusive to you over and over again. Hopefully you don't get Stockholm syndrome. Maybe that's what we have a little bit right now. But at some point, you just be like, fuck it, I'm out. I have to stop caring about this person. Maybe that's not the best metaphor, but it's the one I could think of in the moment. Love both of your channels. Thanks for all your hard work. You're welcome. And thank you guys, because literally as you guys are the only thing keeping us going right now. Like, it's not the team.
Yeah, we'll see after the World Cup. Depending on how that goes, it might not even be your love. No one's love.
Even your love might not be enough anymore.
No, I'm sorry. We love you guys, but depending on how the World Cup goes and things are going, we got better things to do with our lives too.
Yeah. How do you think Canada developed such a powerful team while our team regressed so badly? I don't know. It's a great question, actually. How did they get all these players?
Mentality.
Is it a lucky generation that they have this talent? But they also have a different mentality, right? They go to battle every time they put on that jersey, and this team doesn't. This team does not. Matthew Dominguez, we have 2 Americans still in it. David and Davies. Oh, my God. Can you imagine if we had gotten those guys? I enjoyed the Donovan Dempsey generation better. I don't blame you, Zach. I don't blame you. They got some big results and some big moments. A World Cup quarterfinal, Copa America semifinal, getting out of the group of death at the 2014 World Cup. There was some great moments there. Hey, a Confederations Cup final, beating Spain in the semi. Thank you, Yancey, for the super chat. Trey Brocker, Poch does not care. He took this job for a 2-year holiday. Too busy posing with celebrities and recruiting dual naps. It's starting to seem that way, Trey. If only Poch had Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, and PayPal. No team managed by this fraud will ever win anything. Ask me, Chelsea supporter. Yeah, he turned it around at Chelsea towards the end, but the first 6 months was rough, for sure. Oh, Javier, we have a live correspondent. I'm so embarrassed. At SoFi right now. Poch ain't shit. This team has no identity. Literally, it felt like we were just doing cardio today. Not even. Didn't even look like we were trying to do cardio. The offside goal was bad luck, incompetence, or BS. No, it was an offside goal. Weah was several yards offside. It was a fair call. Poch is allergic to trophies. He is so cursed. Oh my God. Can you imagine we don't win the Gold Cup either? It might be pack it up time.
Let's be real right now. I don't think we're going to win the Gold Cup as it stands. No, I'm serious. Like the way we're playing.
Give me something. Do you have anything I can hold on to right now? Because the depression is starting to settle in.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried.
No, there is nothing. I don't blame you. Don't be greedy, brims and cards. As a Cowboys fan, I get let down enough. I could care less now. This man's subs are just as bad. Gio in the middle, Weston with Adams, and flip the wings. Yeah, Gio better start, honestly, against the next team. I mean, unless he's looking so bad in training, you never want to put him on the field. That's possible. I'll give Poch that. But even then, it felt like this was a game that you bring on Gio for, and I don't understand it. At the game, another live correspondent, Carlos Mejia. Just sad, starting with the crowd, empty stadium, zero energy. I've been to games in Orlando for World Cup qualifying, and it wasn't even close. Just sad. Pulisic, really disappointing. Yep, all of the above, man. Concerned about the depth, and Poch has to redeem himself. Only silver lining is that we were missing some key players. Yeah, but sure, we were missing some key players. Would Balogun or Pepe have finished the chances that Agyemang missed or that Sargent missed? Sargent, to be fair, I don't think he played well, okay? But on both, really the only shot that he had, I don't think it was an egregious miss. It was unlucky to get deflected and hit the post. The other one was a good shot and a good finish. But other than that, Sargent was very quiet. There wasn't enough movement, no combination play.
He was kind of useless.
Yeah, maybe we would have won if we had better players. But we shouldn't need the full starting 11 to be healthy in order to beat Panama is my point, right? And if that's the attitude you have on the field, wouldn't that just permeate through the rest of the players too, even if we do have our full starting 11 healthy? It just doesn't feel like that was the problem today. There were several problems, and we'll talk about them, but I don't know if it was just that we were missing key players. Maybe it would have helped, but I think our problems are bigger than that. Our success came when we had elite goalkeepers. Well, we also have to remember, and this is just a piece of context for you, this is the first generation that has really tried to play with the ball. You have to remember that for most of American soccer history, we have bunkered like hell for our lives and then hit teams on the counter or hit them with set pieces. And then we made it we became very hard to break down. and then we hit teams in transition and set pieces. That was the American way. This is the first team that is actually trying to keep the ball, possess, and attack. And that is much harder to do. Now, I'm not justifying it. I'm not justifying these results. Maybe we should go back to bunkering. We clearly can't create. So why don't we just put a bunch of brawlers on the field and defend for our lives and hope to sneak a goal? It can't be worse than this.
Previous generations had a fight in them, though.
That's the difference. That's the difference.
The previous generations were less talented, but you could see they wanted to play for this country. They really wanted to play for this national team. While, this generation, many are saying the same in the chat too. Sometimes it feels like they don't want to be there. They're just kind of like they have to be there. But the previous generation, every time they wore the jersey, they put on the USMNT jersey, they really fought for it. There was like pride, honor. This generation doesn't feel that way.
No.
Outside of like 2 or 3 players today that were actually fighting and trying, like Scally and Tyler were like actually fighting and trying to get it done. But outside of that, no one gave a shit.
Why would you waste a double pivot when you have Adams? Yeah, I mean, look, you could have pushed McKennie higher up the field. Tanner Tessman really didn't do much, but he was playing ahead in more of an 8 role. I just don't think he really offered anything. But yeah, you could have had Gio and McKennie play there, right? And then you have Pulisic, Way, and Sargent up top. I mean, I don't know if it would have worked, but it did feel like the double pivot was a little unnecessary against this team. Poch is only thinking about World Cup. He doesn't rate Nations League. He all but admitted to it, saying he wants to see all his options play on the team before 2026. He needs to start getting results, man. He needs to start getting results. He needs to care. This is the bare minimum. I said this before. I said this morning, and I said it in the roster stream. This is pressure. This was pressure for Poch. He needed to win this. You can't decide. You can't come and be a national team of coach and decide what you care about and what you don't. The bare minimum for this team is to be dominant in CONCACAF, especially at home. And if you can't even do that, the World Cup doesn't fucking matter, because you know what? No one's going to care come World Cup time if this team looks like ass for the next 14 months. That's the problem, Pocho. So fucking get your Argentine head out of your ass, do some recruiting, pick good lineups, leave some of these trash players at home, and start demanding that intensity. Like, this is a drastic difference than what we saw against Jamaica. And I don't understand what changed, because against Jamaica, this team came out flying. Okay? And yeah, Jamaica is not as good as Panama, but you could tell the vibe and the energy and the intensity was not there. And I don't understand why. And I hope Poch can fucking figure it out, because he is on fraud watch. He is. It was getting bad to the point where Scally was starting to take people on and pushing forward and doing better than Pulisic. I know. He was causing more havoc than anybody else on the team at some point.
And he was doing it with like not much skill. Just kind of pushing guys out of his way.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the old generation did. You know what I mean? It wasn't always skill. Sometimes it was just like, I'm going to run through you if you don't let me get around you.
I'm bigger than you and I'm going to hit you.
Yeah. I don't know how we could probably could arguably have the most talented team in USMNT history and perform this utter garbage football. Softest USMNT team ever? Maybe. It's bad, guys. It's bad out there. Julian Vivas, why isn't Tolkien here? He just got back from an injury. Like, literally, he got substitute minutes in the final game.
What would he have done?
Yeah, I also don't think Tolkien would change anything. I don't care about his views, the earth being flat, and I liked his tweets. Oh, and his liked tweets. That might be the most entertaining tweet from John Tolkien, from a USMNT player. He should be the backup to Jedi. I don't know.
No.
The backup to Jedi is still Scally for me.
But but listen, the best liked tweet in USMNT history was when Greg Berhalter liked the tweet of me putting a video of Ian Joy Paul saying that Berhalter used to headbutt walls.
He was so happy. He was like, finally, people get to hear about my great headbutting.
My great head game.
Turner sucks. He just doesn't have it. I mean, I think maybe you could argue that his positioning on the goal could have been better, but I don't think this.
Do you want me to put it here for you and you can share the screen? It's not the highlight. It's there's an account called MLS Transfers, and he posted a screenshot. Look at this. I'm putting it there. You can share it, and then let me know what you think.
Where are you putting it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, here's the problem. From that angle, you have to cover your near post for sure. You can definitely argue that, is that Scally? Should Scally have gotten tighter? Maybe. But this is a still, so it's hard to say, right? Scally might have been playing catch-up after the ball was played wide. He did leave a huge amount of the goal exposed. I think
probably
he
should
could
have
come
been a
out
step to the right.
a step to the right. You're still covering your post, or also you just come out maybe half a yard more, and now you're covering more of the angle. That's another aspect of this. But I think it's worth scrutinizing. I don't want to make a hard, I'll have to watch it, and I'll probably talk about this on the Patreon video tomorrow. I don't want to make a hard call on this right now, because literally as soon as that goal went in, I had to go prepare the stream because I know.
I think probably the easiest way for me to like talk about this specific play is a goalkeeper like Courtois probably would have saved that. But a goalkeeper that is average for a professional level, which I think what Matt Turner is, those balls can go in. Like probably the Panamanian goalkeeper would have allowed it to go in either if we hit a shot like that.
Yeah.
But Keylor Navas would have saved it, right? So when you put like elite and world-class goalkeepers, they would have saved it. That's not Matt Turner. So Tim Howard probably would have saved it. Yeah, Tim Howard would have saved it. So
yeah, but we don't have a Tim Howard right now. We're all just waiting for
Brad Guzan. Brad Guzan save it?
No. Drake Calendar, he's now third place at Inter Miami. No. Oh, God. Oh, God. But yeah, I understand your frustration, Steven. Fuck USSF. It's not this coach or these players. It's the way this sport is ran in the U.S. Randy's hitting the nail on the head right here. They are unwilling to sacrifice dollars for the dollars this sport could generate if ran properly. I'm out. We can't keep supporting this. You are unfortunately right, Randy. The entire way that soccer is run in this country is all about money and not about the growth of the game. And so they prioritized short-term earnings like today. Tickets were so expensive, we couldn't even fill up SoFi for a meaningful game. This is not a friendly, right? That is one symptom of the big problem at USSF. It's all about money for them. Poch isn't even as good as Triple G. Chunky Chunks. Let me tell you right now, when Triple G gets a team into a Champions League final, then you can say that. But come on, let's not stretch here. Poch might be a shithead right now, and he is, and he deserves lots of criticism for this. But pretending that Triple G, who literally lost to in the second division of Sweden, was fired from the second division of Sweden, also lost to Panama, grouped in the Copa America for the first time in history, should have lost to Jamaica in the last Nations League semifinal.
First host nation in history.
The first host, I'm sorry. Should have lost to Jamaica in the last semifinal, and plenty of other reasons. Like, we can't change history now just because we have a little bit of distance and Poch is being a shithead. Ghost card. I'd rather be on F.
But one thing, Pete, the other thing too is like, I still don't think Pochettino's that bad of a coach. I still firmly believe this guy doesn't give a shit about the job. I think that's the problem right now.
Right. I think he's here for a paycheck and a vacation. I think that's how somebody put it. I think they're right. I'd rather be on Epstein Island and try to survive or oil up running away from This is straight up embarrassing. Congrats to Panama. All right. Well, that's a very vivid way to put it, Ghost Card 21. Like I said, I heard he's messaging Levy, Spurs CEO. He doesn't care. I mean, I don't think Poch is going anywhere before 2026, to be honest, guys. So, Musa, done, finished, kaput? No, not done. We don't have enough depth to not put him in the roster, but he probably shouldn't start the next game. I Show Speed gets more attention overseas than Nini Brown. I'll send you that $50 if he's in cap next time. I look forward to it, Michael. How do we move forward? Oh, this is the tough one. What would you guys do? Well, let's start with the Mexico game. You go back to a 4-2-3-1.
Mexico
right?
game? They're losing already to Canada?
Okay.
They lost?
Let's just call it the third place game. I shouldn't actually eliminados them before Canada does. It might be Canada. We don't know. It's 90 minutes. Anything can happen. I think you go back to a 4-2-3-1. I think you start Gio, Adams and McKennie in a double pivot, Pulisic on the left, Weah on the right, probably Sargent up top. I mean, we didn't call in any players that we can. I was thinking you could put Weah up top, but then who plays right wing? Luna? I don't know. It's like there's not a ton of options because, again, this is why roster construction matters because your depth matters. When people are not performing and you have to replace them, who's it going to be? So who would you guys tell me in the comments? Who would you put up shot? And don't say Brian White, guys. Don't say Brian White.
Might as well give him a shot.
I
Might
mean,
as well.
you could give him a shot. I don't think that's going to change anything, to be
He's
honest.
not going to look worse than Aguiman.
No. Like, can we also all chill on Aguiman now? Like, guy scuffed 2 chances in 20 minutes or missed 2 chances in 20 minutes. Like, this is not the answer, guys, no matter what he's done for club.
Had 2 good chances, by the way. 2 really good
2 good chances. We could have won that game. After all our progress from previous generations, why are we moving backwards? What changed? You know why? MLS isn't developing players. That's really it. Tac talked about this in the pregame on his stream. If you look at the players on this team that weren't developed by MLS and you take them out, this is a terrible team. You have to take out Dest, Anthony Robinson, Chris Richards. You'd have to take out Yunus Musa, Christian Pulisic, Giovanni Reyna, I'll give you because he'd spent 5 years in the NYCFC Academy, but that's also a guy who's like coming from his father. Balogun would be out too. Tim Weah would be out. Tim Weah spent a few years in the New York Red Bulls Academy. So
2
I'll
years.
grant
I
you
thought
that.
it was 1 year.
I think it was like 4 years or something. I have to double check on that. But let's say grant him that. So what is your lineup then? You've got Joe Scally, sure. You've got Tim Ream, sure. You've got Mark McKenzie, sure. Who's your right back? Probably Marlon Fossey.
No, Weah was 1 year. Like he was from in 2013, like 1 year.
Okay, so then Weah's out too. So your back four is what? You know, and Ream was 25 years. Like the dude is fucking 37 years old almost. Like, really, that's the guy we're relying on? MLS is not developing players. We see this. Look around. The only one kind of trying is Philadelphia Union. And the best they've given us so far is Mark McKenzie, right? And Brendan Aronson. That's probably the 2 best. It's not like they're developing. Richards was in Dallas Academy for 1 year, guys. You cannot tell me that MLS developed him. 1 year is not it, okay? He was developed in Alabama in a non-MLS environment, right? So then who's your midfield? You probably have McKennie, Adams, Gio, right? Who's on the left wing? Not Zendejas, not Pulisic, not Weah. Who are your wingers? Brendan Aronson, probably. Who's on the other wing? I don't know. Who? And then up top, you probably have Ricardo Pepi. But that's not a great team. MLS, you have 30 teams now. 30 teams. Each team should be cranking out a star every year or two, right? And at least 1 or 2 other decent players. Nobody's doing that. The best we have right now is the Philadelphia Union. And they're creating very sort of mediocre to decent players.
We can just oversimplify and people can do the brain exercise themselves. If you remove the players not developed in MLS right now, and you build a team, a starting 11 or a roster right now, we are worse than we were 20 years ago. That is factual. If you remove these players, like we don't have to name them. You guys know who they are. So the whole narrative of MLS is developing so much talent. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. It's not entirely on them because like the loss today, these players that were developed abroad, they lost the game. They played, they lost the game. Or not just abroad, like Pulisic was a lot in the US, but he didn't go through like the MLS academy system. But yeah, it's true. Why are we regressing? Why does it feel that way? It's weird because the player pool is technically not regressing. Like right now we do have better players and you're seeing that because they're performing at a higher level, at least for their clubs, right? But it feels like the national team has regressed. That's what it feels like. The player pool definitely hasn't regressed.
No. Even during the Donovan Dempsey generation, if the players weren't considered the golden generation, there were better memories from those players. Yeah, I think we should ban the golden generation from this team, for the phrase golden generation. Until they do something great at a World Cup, we can't call them that anymore.
Yeah, and just one thing, Pete, to add. So everyone's saying they just lost to MLS level players or MLS players. Well, here's the thing, too, because I had this talk. It was actually in the debate with Alexi Lalas. And surprise, surprise, me and Alexi agreed on this at least. The thing with MLS, too, is sure, like MLS level players, like Messi would have been in our national team. He's an MLS player, right? Cucho Hernandez, when he was there, he would have been probably our starting 9, whatever. The point is, the best players in MLS are not American. Yes, the best MLS players could absolutely make the roster for the U.S. The best MLS players, many of them could start for the U.S. for sure. But the best players in MLS are not American. That's another problem. And then you're going to say, so bring them back. That's not the solution. The solution
you're just going to make them worse.
The solution is you have these foreigners. That's fine. You keep the foreign players. They're great players. But what you do is you have to develop better players here. You have to develop better players in America. So when they come up, they're playing against these good foreigners, Messi, Cucho, whatever, and that's what's going to make it better. Not bringing back Pulisic in his prime. But I mean, if you elevate the level, yeah.
Let's be honest. There are players that are in Europe that should have been in this roster. The Aronson boys should have both been in this roster. Zendejas is not in Europe, but he's not in MLS. He probably should have been in this roster. Haji Wright should have been in this roster, right? So, yeah, we also sacrificed bringing those guys over in order to accommodate some MLS players, right? And sure, Jack McGlynn was not bad, but he wasn't going to be a guy that you can come on and change the game. Agyemang, on the other hand, he was worse than Sargent, in my opinion, because he got 2 good chances and fluffed both of them. Sargent semi-fluffed one, although Sargent was poor. They were both bad. It's baffling how Musa got 90 minutes. Yeah, extremely baffling. I'm baffled by a lot of people that stayed on the field, McKennie included. It's seriously time to stop calling in Musa. This idea that he's a roster lock is nonsensical. He never plays well for club or country. Useless player. Well, the problem is when you have as many injuries as you do, you kind of have to call him up just because we don't really have anybody else. I mean, sure, you could have left Musa at home and maybe brought Brendan Aronson, and that might have been better at this point, but probably should have just had both of them on the field, to be honest. The problem for me is Musa's lack of progress in 5 years. He's the same player he was when he was 18 years old. There's been no progress. That's what's really frustrating with Musa. Just threw Patrick's passport in the trash. I got y'all. Captain America, LeBron. That is it. Agyemang.
He wasn't good himself. I actually, Pulisic was worse than Agyemang today.
Yeah, he was. Pulisic was really bad today, but Pulisic has 10 years.
Yeah, of course.
For the US. So, I mean, look, I don't want to say he's allowed to have a bad game, but you don't overreact to a bad game from Pulisic because over the last 10 years, he's.
Wait. Did we lose him? Okay. Pete. Yeah, we lost Pete. Oh, he's back.
Sorry.
Did you get kidnapped? What happened?
Accidentally cut myself out. Neil Bluth was dragging me out.
Just disconnect.
Look at how Sargent links up with Sains at Norwich. He was bad because we didn't play a real 10. Yeah, I actually agree with that. I mean, I think Sargent was bad in general. I don't know if having a real 10 on the field would have made Sargent better. In Sargent's situation, it's kind of been the same every time he puts on a USMNT jersey. That's kind of the issue with Sargent. It's like, yeah, you can change things around him, but Sargent still hasn't performed. And so whatever happens, it's on Sargent right now, you know. Let's see. Chandler, thank you guys for being my therapy. You're welcome. And thank you for being here. You give us someone to rant to, Chandler. So thank you for sticking it out for this session. Panama goal celebration with Thierry Henry was dollars. Yeah, why did they all celebrate with Titi? Was it just like they admired him?
Probably. I would assume so. Yeah.
This is a really good point, HM. Your previous generation felt they had something to prove. This generation believes they already have. Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. They think they've already earned the title of like the best, and talent-wise they may be, but it doesn't matter.
That might be a little bit. We could even take some blame on that. All of us. Us. We did label them as the not golden generation, but we did label them many times as the best and all that, as almost as if they have nothing to prove. So we have some fault on that too, in terms of like feeding their ego, while previous generations always had something to prove. And like I disagreed with, I can't remember who said that. It might have even been Alexi at the time, that a previous generation, I don't know, the 02, if they played this team right now, they would have beat them. They're not more talented, but they probably would have beat them. They probably would beat the shit out of them. The 14 team, that team that got completely outplayed by Belgium, they had a fight in them. They would probably beat this team right now, the way we're playing.
Yeah. Drew says, team doesn't look the same when Dest is not there. I mean, sure, would we love to have Dest back? Yes. But again, you can't rely on 2 or 3 players and say we need them to be there, because then you're basically saying, if you can't beat Panama without Dest, A-Rob, Balogun, and Pepe, then you've got problems. Then you've got real problems. Oh, wait, at least we have the Open Cup. Oh, wait, thanks, MLS. Yeah, that's not going to help. This is on the players, in my opinion. Poch knows attack. I don't know, man. Poch mismanaged this game quite badly. Quite badly. Frank Kassler, Miola is blaming Turner's positioning for the goal. Well, that's interesting because Miola's an ex-goalkeeper, and I tend to listen to him if he says that. It could be Turner's positioning.
I think also he's one of those that he would be careful with what he says. So if he's saying that, it's probably was bad positioning.
Yeah, probably. This team is not good enough to act so blasé. Exactly. Didn't we talk about this morning, Tac, that this team cannot sleepwalk through this game? I felt that's what happened. I think that played a big part in it. I think this was the kind of game where you think, yeah, we'll beat Panama. Why? You lost to them in the last 2 competitive games. We shouldn't be taking them lightly. I tried to say this several times. We shouldn't be taking Panama lightly. And bingo. I was exactly right. You keep your eye on that final. Yeah, we'll get past Panama. No, you treat this like the final. And then if you win, then you go get another opportunity to play a final. It's a mentality thing. And we cannot, this is a problem with playing in CONCACAF too. It makes you so soft because most of the time you do beat these teams, although we didn't in the last 2 times. But oftentimes you feel like you deserve to beat these like Caribbean nations, or you deserve to beat, these Central American countries. And yeah, maybe some of the time you will because you have better talent. But talent only matters if both teams bring the same intensity. If one team brings more intensity and focus and hunger and a better game plan, it can close that gap on talent very quickly. And we saw that today. The Angry Jawa, real talk. Players are no good, no skill down the channels, and the pivot does not pass forward. Did anyone give service from the byline? Reem is man of the match. Yeah, I mean, no skill down the check. Sure, it's like Weah and Pulisic are skilled enough, but they just had bad days today, especially Pulisic. It's hard to understand why some of these kids can be successful in Europe, but there's no grit or synergy with the U.S. Tac, Pete, what the hell? How are we not better? Loyal to a fault, but this is insane. I'm with you, Ben. I'm with you, man. I'm as baffled as you are. We've got to be better than this, dude. And I don't have answers for you right now. I don't have a magic bullet, but I think it starts with a mentality change. I do. I think this team needs a huge mentality shift. I don't know if Poch is going to do it because Poch doesn't seem to care. So we might be in big trouble. We might be in deep doo-doo. Zachariah Al, how much of this do you think is Poch not researching or scouting his own player pool enough? Not subbing in Gio feels like he doesn't understand the meta of the USMNT personnel. For sure, a ton of this blame is on Poch. Okay, that starting lineup lacked a real creative force in the middle, Gio. The roster was poorly constructed, and then when we had a chance to fix it after some injuries, we continued to bring in players that shouldn't be there, right? We didn't have any good attacking depth that would help us, right? And then, yeah, you're right. This team has never really looked that good without Gio on the field in terms of having a creative fulcrum, and Gio is that. And I know, look, I want to make allowance for the possibility that Gio was awful in training, and he has been awful with Dortmund. But at this point, you might just need to throw him on and see what happens. Because you know what? Even this season, when he's played poorly for Dortmund, he's still getting goals and assists, right? Against Hoffenheim, he was terrible. Got a Golazzo. Against, who was it? It was a near relegation team in the Bundesliga where he got another Golazzo. He's that ace in the hole that even if he's not playing well, maybe he gets you the goal you need. And we know Gio loves the Nations League. So, yeah, you might be right, Zachariah. I think that he underestimated Panama. I think Poch saw the Jamaica game, and I think he saw January camp, and he went, CONCACAF is shit. I can get through this just as like testing players out. Who's a viable replacement for Turner at goalkeeper? Now, nobody. Nobody. Like, there's nobody. Like, maybe you can make an argument for Zach Steffen, but Zach Steffen is also up and down. He's playing well right now. I want to see him play well for a full season in Colorado before we talk about him replacing Turner. Schulte isn't it either. It's like we got to try to look for the next generation, but this is what we have right now, Peterson. This is kind of it. Mark Garcia, even if we played only MLS/USL/college players, should we ever lose to a countrymen's with a population of 4 million, a country the size of a U.S. city? I know what you're trying to say, but it doesn't matter the size of your population. It matters what your soccer culture looks like. Right. Otherwise, China and India would be the 2 best soccer countries in the world. And
Uruguay would suck. Uruguay
would suck. Right. Like Mexico, to be honest, for their population should be better than they are. And they have a very strong soccer culture. But what matters is that we are the United States is not in the business of getting better at soccer. The United States is in the business of selling soccer to the masses, right? We're not interested in making it a great sport and becoming the best at it. We're only interested in that insofar as we can then turn that into a marketing package and sell tickets and TV advertisements. That is what US soccer has been doing literally since it existed. They have bragged about getting lesser attendance and making more money. If that doesn't tell you where their mind is at, this is it right there. We are not in the business of creating soccer players and a soccer culture. MLS is so anti-soccer, you guys. MLS is an entitlement league. Nobody gets relegated. Almost everybody makes the playoffs. It's celebration exhibition soccer. That is American soccer in a nutshell right now. And this is why, no matter how big our population or how strong our economy, we can't get better at soccer because the focus is completely wrong. The focus is, how can we sell soccer to the masses and make some dough? We will take something you love and then we will sell it back to you. That is how soccer works in this country. And that is why we cannot get better. And then when you criticize it, they get mad at you and they deny you access and they say, oh, you're just a blah, blah, blah. No, I'm right. It's been that way for years and it's not changing no matter what new CEO comes in with his app. You know, it's ridiculous. We don't have the talent for patient buildup versus the bus parkers. Send more numbers via the bus and at least long through balls could take lucky bounces plus less predictable like their goal. Let me ask you something, Sam, though. Who on that starting lineup can play a good through ball consistently and regularly? Pulisic from time to time, sure, but he was having an off day. McKennie can do it from time to time. He also didn't do it much. He did have that one through ball to Patrick Aguilar, but one a game is not really enough. This is where I think we should have brought on Gio. Poch's Spurs side showed today he completely froze. Is that what he did at Spurs? I'll be honest, I didn't watch that much Spurs when Poch was in charge. Joe Reddington, Gio can't get on the pitch at Dortmund. A less talented Aronson busting his ass for Leeds is better. I mean, I wanted Aronson in the roster, but I don't think that's necessarily true. Aronson is good for pressing. If you want to press, that's where you can use Aronson. Would Horvath or Schulte have been worse than Turner? Frankly, yes. And leadership. Pulisic not captain material. Well, Tim Ream was the captain today. But yeah, there was no Pulisic. There was no leadership. We talked about this in Tac Stream. Pulisic, when he's having an off day, it's really bad. Like nothing comes off. Not even the simple stuff comes off. And that was Pulisic today. 100%.
But even with Milan, right? He's like very streaky.
Yes. Can't stand South American nations like Vepaco. Not sure how that's relevant.
I mean, it looks like it. Well, it's not Vepaco. It's probably flags. That probably
Venezuela, Peru, Colombia.
Well, PA is not Peru. That's probably Panama. Panama is not South American.
It could be Paraguay.
Oh, why are they taking a hit here? What
I don't know. I don't know what this has to do with them.
He just Pete. He just wants to tell you he can't stand them. He just can't stand them.
He's just mad. Say we get grouped in 26. You guys ditching USMNT? I would say, never. You don't know what happens, but if we get grouped in 26, I think it would be very hard to convince me and Tac to keep covering this team because we also have lives and we have businesses and we have to earn a living somehow. And the YouTube channels don't earn us a living, but we sacrifice our time in order to do this. And at some point, you can only go so far. But yeah, if we get grouped in 26, it might be over for us. BJ Callahan is so far the best coach the U.S. has had. Agreed. Pulisic is not a 10. Musa is not a right wing. Why in the world did Poch put Pulisic into a cluttered midfield with Panama parking the bus? Nonsensical. Yep. Agreed. I don't think it was working today. Thank you, Slum Rob and EJLJ for the super chats. I feel bad for Pulisic. If he had selected Croatia instead of the USA, he would have had much greater success. World Cup final and semifinals at best. Yeah, but he wanted to play for the US, and that's what you want, right? You want the guys who want to play for the US. And look at all the ads for Pully Doc at SoFi. Why? Yeah, I haven't watched the Pulisic documentary. And to be honest, Pulisic is not an interesting enough character off the field for me to care about a documentary about him. If you did it on a Breck Shea or you did it on a Jermaine Jones, or even Weston McKennie or Serginho Dest, at least it would be entertaining.
They picked the most boring player they could.
He is such a vanilla guy outside of soccer. And that's fine. I'm not blaming him for it. I'm just saying that's not the guy you make a documentary about his personal life. Like, I don't think that's very interesting. And I haven't seen the documentary. Maybe it's fascinating. But when I saw it, I'm like, I'm not watching.
Not fascinating. Come on.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Maybe I know Straight Red Card watches it, and they talk about it on their stream sometimes.
There's no way it's
fascinating. I'm not going to.
It can't be fascinating.
The team talked before the game about embracing a South American mentality. No, we don't need a South American mentality. We need an American sporting mentality, right?
Or just a mentality at this point. We just want a mentality, some mentality.
Like, we don't need a South American mentality. We need an American sporting mentality of like, we're the best and we're going to act like it and we're going to go hard and we're going to, even if you beat us, it is going to be the toughest game of your life. We don't need to learn from Argentina about mentality. We need to learn from our own sporting culture. That's right here in the Estadios Unidos. What we can pick up from South America is like player development and technical flair, but mentality we have right here at home in every other sport. That's where we should be looking, Poch. Sargent was as bad as you think. Playing against the Christmas tree, the center forward is at an extreme disadvantage. It's an interesting way of putting it. Our mistake was putting Pulisic at the 10 and not wide. We needed 1v1 playmakers. Here's the problem, though. Even when Pulisic was wide and he tried to take players on, he was not successful. He was not. I'm sorry. So I don't know if that would have helped. He had a bad day. Will Pro-Rel with USL fix this? Oh, boy. That's a loaded question. It's not going to fix anything in the short term. It's not like we're going to start beating Panama because USL has Pro-Rel. Hopefully, and it all depends how they do it, Pro-Rel will create a structure that is a little more incentivized towards getting results.
More merit-based.
Huh?
I said more merit-based. So we don't
more
get
merit-based. They need to also start developing better players. Right? They need to have better infrastructure. There's a lot that they need to do, not just Pro-Rel. It's not a magic bullet that's going to fix everything, and it's going to take some time. Thank you, Matt Murphy, for the super chat. We need Gio to win games. His transfer is the most important move this summer. I want to see Gio start on Sunday, not because I think he's necessarily going to be a difference maker. It's just I've seen him look like shit for Dortmund, so now I want to see what does he look like for us. That's kind of what I want to see. Chuck, we need Black Mamba mentality, Jordan mentality. Yep, I agree with all of these things, guys. Tac, I don't know about you, but I'm not in the mood to do player ratings. I just don't think it's necessary.
No, we can just do like, is there anyone that was like a 5? I would say Tyler Adams probably.
Adams, Ream, Scally. I'll give them a 5.
They're all
Everybody
5.
else is somewhere between a 2 and a 1.
2 and a 1, everyone else, yeah.
Maybe Weah gets a 3 for a few good moments, but even then, not good enough. And Poch gets a 1 for me. That's a 1. Like, I'm sorry, 1 or 2 for Poch.
Yeah,
I just don't.
Scally, Riemann, Tyler, then we give a 5. Everyone else, just put it at 1. It's mostly 1. Like,
yeah, it was a disaster game. A disaster game. Thank you to Bet Online for sponsoring this stream. Tac, do you have any last words before we end this? Because this has just been an hour of depression.
Oh God! Like any last words you talk about as if I'm dying. No,
I mean,
no
last words before I end the stream.
Yeah, we've talked here for an hour, and also we're gonna do a stream on Sunday for the game, whatever team we face, and we're probably gonna be talking about the same shit again. So I got nothing else to say. I'll do the 7 things we learned for tomorrow. It's gonna be very negative, so if you don't like that, probably don't.
I'll do the breakdown on Patreon in the morning. Patreon fans, thank you for
very
your
negative
continued support. Yeah, it's just going to be showing what we did wrong over and over again, mostly. Last 2, Antonio says Zendejas 100 times better than Musa. I think he would have been better today for sure. And I meant the mentality of the players. Oh, for the South America. Yeah, but they don't need to look to South America. That's my point. I mean, I agree with you. They need a better mentality for sure. My point is I don't think we need to look to South America for that. We need to look to our own sporting culture, which has a very good mentality, right? Just not our soccer culture.
We're the best sporting country in the world. We see that in the Olympics every time.
In every sport, right? So it's like, and we see it even in the American sports. There is a drive to be the best, to win, right? There's pressure, there's criticism, there's accountability. There's a lot of things. We don't have that in American soccer, and we've talked about that for years. Anywho, guys, thanks for hanging and doing this therapy session with us. Thanks to everybody who sent a super chat. It's very much appreciated. Pick ourselves up again tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you guys on Sunday.